this one, the FIBA. Announce na to. I remember tonight's big stories. Another water cannon assault by China causes structural damage to a Philippine ship in Scarborough Shoal. We'll speak to former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Carpio about what the Marcos administration can do from here.
Transport operators scrambled to consolidate at the very last minute as the PUV consolidation deadline lapses. The government says it will start revoking franchises a week or two from now.
And a little later on, we will be speaking to Paris-bound Filipino-American gymnast Aleah Finnegan about her preparations for the Olympics.
Welcome to the show. I'm Regina.
I'm Gretchen.
And I'm Shawn.
China has blasted water cannons at Philippine vessels yet again, this time causing structural damage. This latest run-in happened at Scarborough Shoal, or Bajo de Masinloc, just this morning, according to the Philippine Coast Guard.
The two vessels were the PCG's BRP Bagakay and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources BRP Datu Bangkao. One Chinese boat also collided with the BRP Datu Bangkao at least thrice.
Now, some reporters were actually on board the B4 vessel when all this happened, including News 5's Gio Robles. Here he is with the big story.
This video was taken from before vessel BRP Datu Bangkao earlier this morning. Aside from ramming the Philippine ship, the Chinese Coast Guard even fired water cannons at it. No matter how much the Filipinos on board yelled for the CCG to stop, the Chinese side continued their water attack. The Chinese ship's water cannons were aimed at the radar of BRP Datu Bangkao. The mast of the Philippine ship was subsequently damaged. After the initial bombardment, China launched another water cannon attack, leading BFAR personnel to maneuver to avoid it. Until China's ship collided again with a BRP Datu Bangkao. From inside the vessel, one can see the strong impact of the water cannon. The BFAR vessel was on its way to Scarborough Shoal to provide free diesel to Filipino fishermen in the area, but China refused to leave them alone. Other Chinese maritime militia vessels were also tailing our boat until eventually one of them collided with a BFAR vessel again.
Ito na, yung pang-apat na beses na sinubukan tayong gamitan ng water cannon ng China Coast Guard at palapit na nga yung tubig dito sa barko natin.
Another Philippine ship on this mission is the Philippine Coast Guard's BRP Bagakay, which was also attacked by China using their water cannons. According to the PCG, the railing and canopy of their boat were damaged by China's water cannon attack. They say this is evidence of the Chinese Coast Guard's harassment of Philippine vessels. Despite China's aggressive attack, no member of the crew or the media were hurt in these latest water cannon and collision incidents. To ensure everyone's safety, authorities temporarily called off the mission to provide aid to fishermen in Scarborough. The BFAR also discovered that China is again installing a new floating barrier right at the entrance of Scarborough Shoal. For News 5, Gio Robles, We Are One News.
Over in a different part of the West Philippine Sea, the Balikatan exercises between the U.S. and the Philippines continued. Chinese ships were also spotted near the drill area off the coast of Palawan, but they were far less aggressive than their counterparts at Scarborough. Here's the report.
This year's Balikatan has not experienced any untoward incidents, but they have been under constant surveillance by China. As Philippine and U.S. troops continue their aerial and landing drills between ships participating in the Balikatan maritime exercises, 3 Chinese vessels were again spotted on the horizon.
During the division tactics a while ago, we saw 2 Chinese ships and 1 militia vessel roaming around the exercise area. They are always there, sir.
Yesterday, one of the vessels, Dongzhou Agi 793, tried to approach the Balikatan ships, prompting the USS Harper's Ferry to cancel its gunnery exercise. As part of precautions, the Philippine Navy has advised marine officials and fishermen not to approach anywhere within 9 nautical miles of the exercise zone.
The Chinese Navy crossed the astern of Harper's Ferry at a distance of 600 yards, and that is inside the gunnery box. There might be an injury. It might cause an injury or damage to their vessel if they will be hit.
The Balikatan Exercises are being held 65 nautical miles from mainland Palawan. This is beyond the Philippines' territorial waters, but still within the country's 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. Chinese maritime forces continue to roam these waters, paying no attention to radio challenges from the Philippines. For now, the USS Harper's Ferry and the BRP Davao del Sur have left the exercise area to prepare for other Balikatan exercises. We also got word of a Chinese research ship spotted off Catanduanes. It's said to be on its way to the Marianas Trench and hasn't acknowledged radio challenges from the Philippines. Reporting for News 5, Elaine Fulgencio, We Are One News.
What recourse does the Philippines have to counter China's growing aggressiveness in the South China Sea? For some insights, let me bring in former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Good evening, Justice Carpio. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Good evening, Gretchen, Shawn, and Regina. Good evening to our viewers.
Justice Carpio, as you just heard, we started off the big story talking about another incident at the West Philippine Sea. There is no question at this point of China's growing aggressiveness. These flare-ups are happening more and more frequently. At this point in time, what do you see as the Philippines' best recourse in terms of if not countering, then at least mitigating China's aggressiveness?
Well, there are two things because there are two disputes in Scarborough Shoal. You have the maritime dispute and the territorial dispute. The maritime dispute was settled finally by the Arbitral Award of 2016, which ruled that Scarborough Shoal, the territorial sea of Scarborough Shoal, is a common fishing ground of Filipino, Chinese, and Vietnamese fishermen. Now, as a common fishing ground, there must be ground rules for fishing. You cannot allow one state to take everything, and you cannot allow overfishing because that will not be sustainable. So, being a common fishing ground, there must be ground rules like how many tons of fish each country can take every year, and what are the fishing season. You cannot fish the whole year. You have to give time for the fish to regenerate, and also how many ships can go there to bring supplies like food and fuel to the fishermen. No, so we have to do that so that there will be a award by the tribunal that setting these ground rules so that China cannot just shove us away and cannot just water cannon our fishermen or even our resupply ships. No, we have to do that because that's important. If it is declared a common fishing ground, you must have ground rules. That's on the maritime dispute. On the territorial dispute, my recommendation is we file an arbitration case, challenge China to submit the territorial dispute to arbitration by International Court of Justice, because there is no convention or treaty requiring compulsory arbitration. Arbitration can proceed only if all the parties agree. So let us just challenge China. If China really believes that it is a good title to, it is a right to sovereignty over Scarborough Shoal, then they should agree to submit it to arbitration. I think we will win in that arbitration because our title is far superior to what China has. No, so those are the two things that I would recommend to our government.
But what if they don't? I mean, at this point, I don't think China is interested at all in, taking up the cudgels and doing another arbitration with the higher court. If that option then does not materialize, we are left only with the establishment of ground rules for fishing. Is that right?
Even if China does not appear in the arbitration for the ground rules, the tribunal will proceed. China is a member of UNCLOS. When you sign, when you ratify UNCLOS, you agree to be bound by the rules of UNCLOS, which includes compulsory arbitration in certain areas, like in this case, when there's a fishery dispute. Because obviously the tribunal's jurisdiction, because the tribunal ruled before that it's a common fishing ground. Only we did not ask for what are the ground rules, because the ground rules must first be discussed by the three states, no? So we will first propose to China and to Vietnam, these are the ground rules. If they refuse to accept the ground rules, we go to the tribunal. And the tribunal has jurisdiction. It will decide the case that is on the maritime dispute. It will be like the July 12, 2016 award. It will be issued even if China does not appear. And I think Vietnam will agree. No? There will be at least two countries that will be appearing there. On the territorial dispute, it's another matter because that is in the International Court of Justice, ICJ. That's purely voluntary on states whether to submit to the jurisdiction of the ICJ.
Justice Carpio, the videos that we're seeing on our screens are actually involving a BFAR vessel supplying food and fuel to fishermen in Scarborough. And it seems to be a lot more commonplace nowadays to see water cannon incidents happening in the West Philippine Sea. But the president says that the Mutual Defense Treaty will only be invoked if a Filipino soldier or a Filipino service member is killed on an attack by any foreign power. Is this correct, or is this a new guideline set by the president?
Well, I think the president was quoting what Admiral, the U.S. Admiral in charge of the Indo-Pacific, his name is Quintero something. He testified before the U.S. Congress and clarified that if the water cannon results in death of Coast Guard personnel or Navy personnel of the Philippines, then that triggers the operation of the treaty. We can invoke the treaty. And the president was just echoing what that Admiral said in his testimony to the U.S. Congress.
Just to be clear, who will need to invoke the Mutual Defense Treaty? Is it the United States, is it the Philippines, or is it both parties?
No, if it is a vessel that is attacked, we will be the one to invoke it.
All right. Justice Carpio, in your opinion, what can we make of the fact that there was that heavy assault by a water cannon over in the Scarborough Shoal, but in the area where the Balikatan exercises and drills are actually happening, people have observed, at least pundits have observed, a more muted kind of act from the Chinese militia vessels and Chinese Coast Guard. In your opinion, would there be some sort of legal loophole that they are maneuvering through by doing, or treating those two areas differently?
Well, of course, the maritime militia and their Coast Guard, the Chinese Coast Guard, will not go toe-to-toe with the U.S. Navy or with the French Navy. They will not do that. They will only bully if they are outnumber their opponents. And in this case, there were 10 Chinese vessels, 4 Chinese Coast Guard vessels, and 6 militia vessels against our 2 Coast Guard, 1 Coast Guard, and 1 BFAR vessel. So, well, they outnumbered us, but our brave Navy and BFAR personnel just continued with their mission to resupply our fishermen with food and fuel, no? But that will be we can question that precisely if we file an arbitration case against China, that they are conducting dangerous maneuvers. They were bumping, colliding with our BFAR vessel, and they were using water cannon, which causes damage to the vessel. I mean, they were hitting the radar of the BFAR vessel. So that would be included in an arbitration case that we file. In fact, the DOJ is planning to file an arbitration case over the destruction of the marine environment, the coral reefs in Skoda Shoal and Rosal Reef. We can add this. I've been saying that we should add in the arbitration case that we'll file the common ground rules for the 3 countries to fish in Scarborough Shoal And we can also add this new incident that China is conducting dangerous maneuvers, and this in fact constitutes threat of force.
Justice Carpio, what
Thank you.
about the Chinese research vessel? Is that contentious, the presence of that vessel? Could we possibly add that to the east of the Philippines, over at the Philippine Rise?
Yes, we can add that. That's in the eastern side of the Philippines. The vessel, the research vessel of China, was stationary in our exclusive economic zone. The rule in UNCLOS is in the exclusive economic zone, a foreign research vessel must seek permission before they can conduct marine scientific survey. And China did not ask our permission. So we can complain. We can include it that China violated that rule of UNCLOS, that they must get the consent of the coastal state.
When you mentioned bringing up cases in an arbitration court, are you referring, Justice Carpio, to the PCA, the Permanent Court of Arbitration, or the ICJ? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but did they already rule, at least the PCA, that they're not gonna, muddle with any military doings and happenings?
Yes, military activities are excluded, but the research vessel is not military. The Coast Guard is not military. Our Coast Guard is not military, and the fishing there is not military, because that was in fact ruled by the tribunal. It's a common fishing ground. So we're just asserting our rights under the arbitral award. The arbitral award says we have a right to fish, and that's why we are trying to set the parameters of how the three states could fish, because they cannot just fish every day of the year. They cannot just take everything, because the fishing must be sustainable.
Justice Carpio, in recent weeks, there have been a lot of noise over the so-called gentleman's agreement that former President Rodrigo Duterte supposedly got into with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He says, Duterte says that all he agreed to was a status quo agreement, meaning we can deliver food and water to the troops stationed there, but not construction materials, and that it kept the peace in the contested areas. Yet you believe that he has some liability in the matter. Talk us through that, please, Justice.
Well, he said he just agreed to the status quo. That was not the status quo. The status quo was we were supplying the BRP Sierra Madre with construction materials. We were repairing. Because if you don't repair Sierra Madre, it will collapse, it will sink, and we will lose our presence in the Ayungin Shoal. The Chinese would come in. So it was essential to repair Sierra Madre. That's the whole point. Because we beached Sierra Madre to have an outpost, and as an outpost, you have to repair it, otherwise you lose your outpost. Now, the 2002 Declaration of Conduct that ASEAN signed with China stipulated that the parties will not inhabit uninhabited features, will not occupy unoccupied features as of 2002. But we were there already in 1999. So if you were there already as of 2002, you can continue with your presence, which means you can repair your structures because you have a right to be there already. What was prohibited was to occupy unoccupied features so that it will not aggravate the dispute. That's why all the parties there, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, and China, continued to repair whatever they had already as of 2002. That's why we have a right to be there. And when Duterte said we agreed not to repair, that was inimical to our national interests. That would mean that we will lose soon the BRP Sierra Madre, and we will lose our presence in Ayungin Shoal. And in effect, he was giving away already Ayungin Shoal, because if you cannot repair Sierra Madre, it will sink, and we will have to leave Sierra Madre, and the Chinese will take over. That is the meaning of not repairing Sierra Madre.
You're right, Justice. I think China has repeatedly also said that the Philippines is in violation of that 2002 declaration on the conduct at the South China Sea. But, you know, if this so-called gentleman's agreement is proven true, do you think that's part of what is emboldening China at the moment?
Well, first of all, That's the claim of China. We are not in violation of 2002 Declaration of Conduct because we were in Ayungin Shoal before 2002, before the signing of the Declaration of Conduct. In fact, all the other countries that occupied geologic features before the 2002 Declaration still remain there, continue to repair whatever facilities they have. So that's just a claim of China. But if that were the case, then they have to leave also their occupation of mischief reef, because mischief reef has been declared as part of our EEZ. So that's completely not true that we are violating the Declaration of Conduct.
But do you think that's this so-called gentleman's agreement that may be why China is now emboldened? That may be a part of the reason we're seeing a lot more aggression.
Yes, they're claiming there is a gentleman's agreement, but where is that agreement? Who can testify to it? All the other officials of Duterte at that time, you have Lorenzana and Año, deny having knowing that there is such an agreement. But of course, Duterte admitted. But his problem is that he in fact was giving away our right to Ayungin Shoal, our exclusive right to exploit Ayungin Shoal, because that's part of our EEZ. That is a violation of the Constitution.
And as far as we can tell, right, we can't find any solid evidence that this gentleman's agreement even exists. And having said that, Justice Carpio, should we actually treat it like, assume that it exists somewhere out there? Can we treat it as a matter of policy if there is no documentation of this so-called gentleman's agreement?
No, our position is there is no such agreement because there is no proof that the agreement exists.
Justice Carpio, you gave your suggestions a while ago on filing a case for arbitration. Two powerful suggestions, but we do know also that China has not had a history of responding to results of arbitration. That is not their language. They do respond, however, to security threats and other forms of might. Do you think that the government is doing enough? Are they covering all bases outside of filing cases? What do you think can we still do?
Well, first of all, China refuses to recognize the July 12, 2016 arbitral award. But that all the other countries of the world are rallying behind that award. The US, the UK, France, Japan, Australia, even India and South Korea, they say that the parties must comply with the arbitral award. So the world now is rallying behind that arbitral award, even if China doesn't recognize it. Now, the other day, Wu Shikon, who is really the author of this Chinese expansion in the South China Sea, is the brains behind the theory that the 10-dash line now includes all the waters and not only the islands. He said that he finally admitted that the arbitral award has a negative impact on China that cannot be erased. And he's worried that if we file another case, another arbitration case, it will have a domino effect. It will encourage other ASEAN states like Vietnam and Malaysia to file similarly. And the rest of the world will also support anything that is ruled upon by an arbitral tribunal. So he told his government, the Chinese government, you have to pressure the Philippine government not to file the arbitration case. So how could they do that? We are an independent country. So while they say that the July 12, 2016 award is null and void, they realize that it has a negative effect on them because the countries of the world support it. So they cannot just write it off because it has an effect. It adversely impacts on their reputation as a member of the UN and UNCLOS.
And then finally, Justice, there is a Maritime Zones Act that is making its way through Congress right now. If passed, when passed into law, how do you think that might change the dynamic again? Will it help?
Yes, it will help because it will again solidify our rights there. And in fact, Wushikon mentioned that the Philippines is solidifying its exclusive economic zone. It's a good thing that that bill has finally been passed.
Okay. We are going to have to leave that there for now. Thank you so much for all your insights. As always, former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio.
Thank you also, and thank you to our viewers.
Up next, Jeepney drivers join cooperatives at the very last minute to beat today's deadline for consolidation. More on that big story when we return. Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
It is day 2 of Transport Group Piston strike, but while there are drivers who did join the strike, there are also those who went ahead and joined cooperatives instead. Today being, of course, the deadline for the PUV consolidation. Let's get more details on this. We have Gerard de la Peña to give us the details. Gerard, how many more Jeepney drivers decided to consolidate today?
Shawn, the NCR Regional Office of the LTFRB here in Fairview, Quezon City is filled with members of cooperatives, corporations, as well as transport operators on the final day of the deadline of franchise consolidation of the LTFRB. Many apparently have decided to comply with the PUVMP for the fears that they won't be able to operate starting tomorrow. Jeepney operator Felipe Tagalugin traveled all the way from Alabang to Fairview to meet the deadline. He encountered problems with his paperwork but hopes to resolve it soon to be able to consolidate.
Sinasabi, hindi ka makabiyahe, bukas huhulihin ka na, gano'n. Eh, kung tunay, di wala kang magagawa. Eh, asa na pupulutin?
Due to the large number of people rushing their application, the process at the LTFRB slowed down. This, despite the LTFRB only requiring 4 documents: the petition for consolidation, photocopies of the ORCR, proof of cooperative or corporation membership, and franchise from applicants. As of today, LTFRB data show that 78% of jeepneys and UV Express vehicles nationwide have been consolidated. It's possible that this could exceed 80% with the surge of applicants today.
Yung attitude ng mga kababayan natin ng wait and see. Yung mga ayaw mag-consolidate nung una dahil tutol sa programa, naghangad po sila ng baka pwedeng extend pa ng Pangulo or pwedeng mag-issue ang Supreme Court ng temporary restraining order. As of this time, wala hong binabanggit ang Pangulo, wala pong ini-issue ang Supreme Court.
If there are those rushing to consolidate, there are also those wanting to withdraw from cooperatives. Grace Ombre has been operating jeepneys for over 3 decades on various routes. She said 3 of her jeepneys have already been consolidated. But the cooperative she joined, Ombre claims, aren't giving her sufficient earnings.
Bumubiyahe na rin yung kapalit ng unit ko na modernize na siya, pero wala pa rin kaming natatanggap kahit 5 na ibinibigay na kita namin. Yan ang katotohanan. Real talk lang tayo, ha?
For the LTFRB's part, they say that this is an isolated case. Despite today's deadline, Piston said they will continue with the strike tomorrow, Labor Day, to oppose the PUV modernization program. And it's not just Piston that will hold a transport holiday tomorrow. TNVS and delivery app riders will also hold a nationwide strike. Among those joining will be the Lalamove Riders Association, who are seeking a return to the old base fare of 60 pesos as compared to the current 49 pesos.
Yung pinakaunang demand po namin dyan is yung mababa po yung rate niya, yung base fare. Ibalik lang sana yung dati na, na base fare namin.
Shawn, the LTFRB likewise clarified that there won't be any apprehension starting tomorrow for those who failed to comply with the franchise consolidation. Instead, they will be issued show-cause orders and they will be given a chance to explain so that the LTFRB can decide if their driver's licenses will be suspended or if they need to pay a fine of 50,000 pesos. Shawn.
All right, thank you so much for giving us those updates. Gerard De La Peña.
On the same day that the deadline for the PUV modernization program lapsed, and it actually lapsed at 8 p.m. tonight, President Marcos ordered the Energy Department to ramp up the country's e-vehicle industry. In a sectoral meeting at the palace this morning, Marcos also called for the consolidation of financing schemes to make easier the process of buying fleets of e-vehicles. Currently, there are only 73 charging stations for e-vehicles in the country. These are not enough in the long run, especially with the government targeting to increase the share of e-vehicles to 50% by 2040. At the moment, it's less than 1% of the total auto market. So the president has also ordered government agencies to jump on board, targeting at least 10% of government fleet to be EVs. The Energy Department believes motorists will be able to save more in the long run by going electric. Based on their estimates, the operating cost of e-vehicles is 65% lower than traditional vehicles, which could translate to savings of up to 2.4 million pesos per vehicle across 5 years.
Halimbawa, ako ay isang public utility vehicle o namamasahe, no? Ang unang gagastusin ay yung malaking upfront cost ng electric vehicle. And later on, as I use it, because it has a lower maintenance cost at mas malayo yung tinatakbo niya, compared sa internal combustion engine vehicles, whether diesel or gasolina, ito ay mas mababa yung maintenance at mas mababa rin yung cost ng pag-operate.
Balin Pharma, the company accused of handing out commissions to doctors in exchange for them pushing the company's medications, appeared before the Senate earlier today. And while they denied the commissions, the company did admit to giving out other incentives to doctors. JC Cosico has the big story.
Makukulong ka ngayon. Yari ka ngayon. Kulong ka. You're under oath.
That was the warning from Senator Raffy Tulfo to Luis Go, Chairperson and Chief Executive Officer of Balin Pharma Incorporated. The company has been implicated in an alleged multi-level marketing scheme involving doctors. Balin was accused of providing commissions to their partner doctors in exchange for prescribing products. During the hearing of the Senate Committee on Health and Demography, Tulfo even presented photos of alleged checks issued by Balin, along with a list of doctors referred to as Jedis and Padawans, supposedly involved in the scheme. It was claimed that some doctors prescribed the company's products even when not needed. Furthermore, some doctors allegedly have a mini pharmacy in their clinics, allowing patients to directly purchase from them.
Hindi na patient care o yung kalusugan ng pasyente ang tinatrabaho ng mga doktor na miyembro nitong MLM, kundi yung pagninegosyo sa ngalan ng salapi.
Balin Pharma, however, denied their involvement in the multi-level marketing scheme.
Balin Pharma is a traditional pharma company. We have med reps. They see the doctors. They explain the indications, the contraindications of the drug. And the doctors prescribe the drugs, and these are being purchased at the drugstore.
The company also explained the checks issued to their partner doctors.
May patakaran kami, pag nagbayad ka ng full sa amin, we give you additional discount. You know, ang check na yan. That's not a rebate, that's additional discount for paying on time.
Despite these, Balin Pharma did admit to having incentives for the doctors.
We are giving incentives and shall I say, support to our doctors who, for them to include us as a as a as a brand for their generic prescriptions.
What kind of incentives?
We give them continuing medical educations locally and abroad, and sometimes we also provide them with clinic equipments.
According to the Health Department, such matters should be reported to the Food and Drug Administration. DOH Chief Ted Herbosa also warned that once doctors are proven to be involved in such practices, they could lose their license.
Pwede kong iakyat yan sa Board of Medicine for revocation of license, suspension of license. Pwede ko rin iakyat kung sa ospital namin, DOH Hospital, pwede kong iakyat sa Ombudsman.
According to Senator Bongo, chairperson of the Senate Committee on Health, it's about time to enact a law prohibiting doctors from referring patients to connected companies. The Senate has also referred the issue to the Professional Regulation Commission for investigation. Further hearings on the matter will be done in May. For News 5, JC Cosico, We Are One News.
We're going to pause for a quick one right now, but right after that, we'll be speaking to Filipino-American gymnast Aleah Finnegan about her preparations for the 2024 Paris Olympics and what it's like to be the first female gymnast to represent the Philippines on the biggest stage. You don't want to miss that. You're back. We're back, rather. Sorry, you're back. We're back too.
We're all back.
You're still watching the big story here on One News.
Oh, don't look now, but we are 87 days away from the Paris 2024 Olympics. 13 Filipino athletes have already qualified for the Games, with many more still hoping to make it. And one of those who has already secured her spot is Aleah Finnegan, who has the honor of being the first female gymnast from the Philippines at the Olympics. And she is joining us now live via Zoom. Good evening, Aleah. Congratulations, and we're proud to have you represent us.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Where are you tuning in from, and how's everything after securing your spot in the Olympics?
So I'm currently located in Louisiana in the US, and it has just been such an honor to be able to even train for the Olympics, to be able to represent the Philippines on, the highest level possible in sports. And so it's coming up quick, like you said, 87 days. And so we're really counting it down and just trying to soak in every single moment and be able to represent the Philippines proudly.
You did help your university, the Louisiana State University, win its first Division I title in the 2024 U.S. NCAA Women's Gymnastics National Championships. Tell us more about that.
Yes, thank you. So as well as being on the Philippine national team, I also compete in university at Louisiana State here in the States. And like you said, last weekend, we won our first national championship ever, which has definitely been, really incredible since we've gotten back. We've just been so overwhelmed with the amount of love and support, and I'm really honored to be able to represent the Philippines even while I'm competing at Louisiana State, being able to represent, my heritage and my culture no matter where I'm competing. And it's been a little bit hectic, but we're enjoying the moment and we wouldn't want to have it any other way. So for just the opportunity for us to represent, Louisiana, represent the Philippines, it's really been an honor.
Okay, let's talk about representing the Philippines, Aleah, because it has been 60 years since a Filipina gymnast has gone to the Olympics. It's been a long time. I don't even remember any female gymnast from here representing the Philippines to go to the Olympics. Having said that, which events are you tightly looking at? Which is your favorite event, and what event should we watch out for you for?
Yeah, so I'm really excited the fact that I have qualified on all 4 events for the Olympics. And I think my favorite event is probably floor. I feel like it's a little bit more, personable as compared to the other events, but I'm really excited for some upgrades and possible, higher scoring that may happen, this year. And so I think floor would definitely be one of my favorites to watch. I enjoy watching it, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of the events truly. And like you said, the first female gymnast in about 60 years, that's not something that I take lightly. And so it's an honor to represent, female sports and to represent, women's gymnastics on the highest stage for the Philippines.
As Gretchen alluded to, you actually used to represent the U.S. women's gymnastics team, but now you will be representing the Philippines. Talk us through the emotional journey of that, of choosing which country to represent in the end. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so originally I was on Team USA competing internationally. And, I tried to go the Olympic round that way. And unfortunately, it wasn't in my favor. And for me, that meant that that door was closed. The Olympics wasn't anything that was going to go on in my favor. And about 2 years ago, I was talking to my mother. She was born and raised in Manila. And she was talking to me about this opportunity to be able to compete for the Philippines. And my oldest sister, who had competed at the Southeast Asian Games in 2011, so I was a little bit familiar with, going that route, but I wasn't really sure if that was, something that I would be willing to take on. Obviously, gymnastics is a lot on your body, and peak age can typically be, 16 years old and, 19, 20 at the time. And so ultimately, I decided that what a great opportunity to be able to, give back to my mom, give back to, my heritage, give back to, my family who still stays at the Philippines, to be able to represent them in a way that, I wouldn't be able to do otherwise, in the sense that, being able to represent where I'm from is such an honor. And I just can't put it into words how grateful I am to be there and to be able to, give back to my family for all the sacrifices that they've made along the way.
You yourself have competed in the Southeast Asian Games, right? 2019, if I recall correctly.
2022, yes.
2022, sorry. Southeast Asian Games 2022.
She won gold in vault and team events.
At that point, you were already representing the Philippines. What I was going to ask you was, how different is the preparations for the Olympics going to be compared to that?
Yeah, obviously it's a little bit of a higher stakes, I would say. I'm so honored that I got to represent in the Southeast Asian Games. Was actually my first competition competing for the Philippines. And, we had a great run. We had a great show. It was an incredible team that we put together. And I left that meet and I was like, well, maybe I should go back and compete again. And I wasn't really sure how that would work with scheduling wise. Obviously, I'm still enrolled in university. And I think training wise, I think it looks a little bit different in the sense that I'm not necessarily trying to qualify for something here at the Olympics. Like, I feel like most of, the grueling work, I feel like I've won half the battle already. And so obviously I'm going to try to put my best foot forward for this upcoming Olympics, and it's coming close. I'm really excited. Gonna hopefully try and put some new skills out there and really just lay it all out there, and excited to see how it happens.
Aleah, I did read a little bit about your story. I was surprised by the fact that back in 2021, after the U.S. Nationals, you were ready to put your elite career to rest retire from gymnastics. What was going on in your mind back then? And how is your sense of morale at this point? How did you revive yourself to get to this point?
Yeah, so back in 2021, I had the unfortunate a little bit of injuries, that I was dealing with. And my goal from such a young age was the Olympics. And at the time, it was, the 2020, now 2021 Olympics. And I was competing for Team USA at that time. And it didn't really go the way that I had planned it. Unfortunately, I missed out on the Olympic trials. And, I really enjoyed competing for Team USA, and I really appreciated my time that was spent there. And when I didn't make it to the Olympic trials, I kind of just really wanted to close the door on that. I was going to go to university soon, and so I really just wanted to focus on, my college career and, what that looks like. And then following my freshman year, like I said, I spoke to my mom and she was like, there's this great opportunity if this is something that you're interested. And I really wasn't sure if that was something that I want to open again. I had worked so hard my whole life to go to the Olympics, and then I kind of got a big door slammed in my face there. And so it was really something that I was continuing to work on and continue to heal. But honestly, like looking back at it now, I would not have had it any other way. And I'm so thankful for all of my experiences, whether it's at Team USA and now with the Philippines and continuing on in university. I'm really thankful the way that everything turns out.
A quick question, Aleah. I Googled you earlier, and it does say that you have 3 other sisters. At least one of them are also, like you mentioned, your older sister is into gymnastics. Are you all gymnasts? And was this a thing that your mom put you into when you were young, just to expend some energy? How did you end up as a gymnastics family and sticking to it?
Yeah. So I have 3 older sisters. I'm the youngest of 4. And growing up, all 4 of us, we did gymnastics. And my oldest 2 sisters, when they were younger, my parents were kind of researching sports that are great for brain development. And, there's other sports like swimming and like track, and gymnastics was on the list. And so, there was a gym located close to where we were living at the time. And she threw in my eldest 2 sisters into their first gymnastics class, and I wasn't born yet. So I feel like as more sisters continued to come, by the time I got here, I was, 2 years old when I started my first gymnastics class, and the rest is history. So growing up, yes, we all did gymnastics. We all competed together. We all trained at the same gym, and some of us went on to compete for the Philippines, some Team USA, and it's definitely been a lot of fun growing up with a lot of girls and a lot of gymnastics.
Aleah, is it safe to say that the scouting work is not a problem because you're friends already with your future competitors? And who is helping you now from Louisiana to prepare for the Olympic Games? Is it your coach over in university?
Yes. So I'm currently working with one of our assistant coaches here at Louisiana State, and he was the one that traveled with me to Asian Championships, to the Southeast Asian Games, and to the World Championships as well. And so we work really great together. I'm really thankful for, his insight. I do still keep in touch with the coaches that I grew up with training, many, many years ago, from 5 till maybe about 18. And so it's kind of a group effort. We're all really, coming around this one moment to really make sure that I am best prepared for this summer.
All right, we do wish you luck, and we hope to have you come home here to get to know, to try Filipino food.
With that
go
nice
around.
shiny gold around your neck, of course,
Yeah.
but no pressure.
Yeah, but for now,
But we wish you all the best.
we're rooting for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate
Proud
it.
to have the very first Filipina gymnast and Paris-bound athlete, Aleah Finnegan.
Right, before we run out of time, here is our big picture for tonight. None other than Valenzuela City's answer to the intense heat that is affecting its residents and pretty much the whole country. What you're looking at is a mobile shower truck. That's right, 2 of these mobile shower trucks are already making daily rounds across Valenzuela City, and residents are actually using them. To save on water, the LGU said that the used bathwater from these mobile showers will be recycled and used to water plants in parks and community gardens.
I don't know how I feel about that though.
I know, like
I mean,
I
you're
was thinking
showering. I
plants
guess with
with
no
soap?
doors.
Kung
Because
meron
they're
naman, baka binuksan lang para makita yung loob.
But they're showering with their clothes on.
Well, that's how you shower in a public shower.
Kasi
right?
nakabukas yung pinto eh.
That's why,
How many door?
you know, we're so
No,
modest
okay.
here, right? Like, I'd
No,
rather...
I didn't see the door, so I was wondering, like, how does this work? Okay, do you just jump in for 5 seconds, take a quick shower?
I was more worried about the...
cleaner than a public pool. Right?
Also that, but I'm worried about the plant.
Okay, sorry,
There's the doors are open, but there's a little square of...
Pero alam mo mga Pinoy, basta may di ba, liliguan, walang problema yan.
I'm guessing demo picture lang ito. Pero yung mga halaman kaya, no? Pagka yung bathwater, dirty bathwater has like soap particles, is it okay?
Healthy, is it safe?
It's
for the
organic,
plants?
for sure.
Soap?
It comes from, pag may
well,
soap, ayun lang.
But who's gonna bring soap? You're outdoors, right? The whole point is you're overheating. You jump into the stall.
So
do a
water
quick
only
shower.
Kaya water,
Diba?
water lang siguro yan.
I don't know.
Possible.
It's raising a lot of questions in our heads. Sorry.
It is. Valenzuela City, we need your answer.
Good innovations, right?
But
It's good to see
yeah,
that.
it's good to see people
Trying to cope.
thinking of all sorts of ways.
Especially with water interruptions also going around right now. If you see free shower and it looks so good, the mobile shower unit, why not? Well, that's it for the big story tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.